Rain fell heavily on the quiet colony world, turning the forest path into a dark river of mud. Inside a small wooden house built near the trees, Evan Cole, a simple Earthling man, tightened the lock on his door. He had finished a long day of work. His hands were tired, his clothes were wet, and all he wanted was a warm cup of tea. But that night, something felt different. The wind blew strangely, almost like a whisper. The lights flickered for a moment. Outside, the forest seemed alive. With movement, Evan paused with his cup in hand. He listened carefully. The world outside was usually silent at this hour, only the sound of insects and distant animals. But tonight, there was crying, not loud crying, not human crying. It was small, weak, and full of fear, like two little voices trying not to be heard. Evan put his cup down slowly and moved toward the door. His heartbeat grew faster. On this planet, strange creatures roamed at night. Some were dangerous, some were deadly. And he had never heard a cry like this before. He unlocked the door and opened it just a little dot at first. He saw only darkness. Then lightning flashed across the sky, and he froze. Two tiny figures stood on his porch, shivering under the rain. They looked like children, but not human children. They were thin, pale, with large glowing eyes and faint silver markings on their skin. Their clothes were torn and dirty, hanging loosely from their small bodies. Their hair was wet and stuck to their faces. One of them, the smaller one, held onto the other tightly. Their feet were bare on the cold wooden floor. For a moment, neither of them moved. Neither of them spoke. They looked at Evan like frightened animals. Evan felt his heart drop. What are you two doing out here?" he whispered gently. The older twin, he thought she looked a little older, stepped in front of the smaller one. Her thin arms spread out in a weak attempt to protect her sister. Her voice trembled as she tried to speak. Please, don't hurt us." Before Evan could answer, the smaller twin suddenly collapsed onto the porch with a soft, painful cry. Evan rushed forward without thinking. "Hey, it's okay. I'm not going to hurt you." But the moment his hand touched the child's shoulder, something strange happened. A faint light flashed across her neck, a glowing symbol shaped like a crown with two wings. Then it vanished so fast he almost doubted he had seen it. Evan's breath caught. What was that? The older twin panicked and tried to pull her sister away, but she was too weak. Her small hands trembled, her lips shook. Her eyes were full of terror. "She's sick," she whispered. "She hasn't eaten. She can't walk." Lightning flashed again, and this time, Evan saw something far more terrifying behind the children. The trees were shaking. Something big was moving through the forest. The ground trembled with each step. A deep, heavy growl echoed through the night air. The twins turned toward the forest with fear sharper than any knife. "They're coming." The older twin cried softly. Please close the door. They will smell us." Evan looked from the shaking forest to the sick child on the ground, to the terrified girl protecting her sister. He knew he had only seconds to choose. He could shut the door and pretend he saw nothing. He could save himself. Or he bent down, scooped the smaller girl into his arms, and looked at the other twin. Inside. Now, the older twin hesitated only for a heartbeat. Then she ran inside with him. Evan kicked the door shut just as a huge shadow passed by the window. The house shook from the creature's roar. The lights flickered. The older twin hid behind Evan as he locked every latch he had. The rain continued to pour outside, but inside the house, the silence was thick. The smaller twin lay on the couch, breathing fast and shallow. The older one knelt beside her, brushing the wet hair off her forehead. Tears ran down her silver-marked cheeks. Evan, still breathing hard, knelt beside them. "Who are you?" he asked softly. "Why were you out there?" The older twin looked up with eyes full of fear and sadness. We have no home," she whispered. "We have no one left." Her voice broke, "And they want to kill us." Evan felt a chill go through his body. He didn't know who they were. He didn't know why these children were alone. But he knew one thing for certain: whoever these twins were, whatever danger they carried, his life had just changed forever. The storm quieted slowly, but inside Evan's small house, tension still filled the air like thick smoke. The two alien twins sat close together on the sofa, wrapped in an old blanket Evan had hurriedly found. The older twin held her sister tightly, her eyes watching every movement Evan made. She looked like a creature ready to run at the smallest threat. Evan moved slowly on purpose. He knew fear when he saw it. These children were terrified beyond imagination. He brought a warm cup of soup toward them. The older one instantly pulled her sister behind her and whispered sharply, "Don't touch her." Evan stopped. He set the cup down on the table and raised both hands. "It's okay," he said softly. "It's food, not a trap." The older twin stared at him with those large glowing eyes. Her body shook with fear, but after a long moment, she slowly reached out a trembling hand. She touched the cup carefully, as if expecting it to explode. Only when she felt the heat did her expression change. She nudged her sister. "Lyra, drink." The smaller twin Lyra took the cup. Her hands were weak, barely able to lift it. She sipped, then another sip. And then she drank it like she hadn't tasted food in days. Evan looked away for a moment, feeling his throat tighten. No child should ever look that hungry. "What's your name?" he asked gently. The older twin hesitated. Her lips pressed together. Finally she whispered, "Sora." "That's a beautiful name," Evan said softly. Sora blinked. She clearly wasn't used to compliments. "And your sister is Lyra," Evan added, giving a small smile. "Right?" Sora nodded stiffly, still nervous, still watching him like a trapped animal. After a few minutes, Lyra finished the soup and leaned against her sister's shoulder, exhausted. Sora wrapped the blanket tighter around her. Evan sat on the opposite chair so he would not scare them. His heart still raced from the creature outside. He knew the forest was dangerous at night, but he had never heard a creature roar like that. "Did something chase you?" he asked softly. Sora looked away. She didn't answer. She couldn't. Her eyes filled with tears she tried to hide. It was enough to tell him the truth was too painful to speak yet. "I'm not going to send you away," Evan said gently. "You're safe here for the night." Sora looked up sharply. "Just the night?" Evan hesitated. He looked at their bare feet. Their bruises, their fear, their exhaustion. The strange glowing mark on Lyra's neck that vanished earlier. And the monster outside that clearly hunted them. He knew the truth. These children couldn't survive alone. "You can stay longer if you need to," he said softly. Sora's lips parted in surprise. She held Lyra closer, as if afraid the promise would disappear. The next morning, Evan stepped outside to check. The storm damage. The cold air stung his face, but something else made him freeze. The ground around his house was torn apart. Deep claw marks cut into the trees. Broken branches, destroyed bushes, and large footprints circled the house. Whatever creature came last night wasn't just passing by. It was hunting. Evan knelt and picked up a metallic shard lying in the mud. It had strange alien symbols on it. It looked like a part of a tracking device. He felt something twist in his stomach. Someone or something sent hunters after the children. He hurried inside. Sora looked up instantly tense. Evan didn't tell them everything he saw. He didn't want to frighten them more, but his voice was firm. "You can't stay out there alone," he said. "This world isn't safe for children like you. Or maybe children at all." Sora lowered her head. She gently stroked Lyra's hair. "We know," she whispered. Evan glanced at the small table where he had placed breakfast. The girls ate. Slowly at first, watching him carefully, their movements cautious and quiet. When they finished, Lyra suddenly curled against his arm. She didn't speak, she simply leaned her head there like she trusted him without words. Sora tried to pull her away. Lyra, don't, but Lyra held on. Her small fingers gripped Evan's sleeve tightly. Sora froze. Her eyes filled with confusion. She didn't understand why her sister trusted him so fast. But another part of her seemed relieved. Evan rested his hand lightly on Lyra's back. "You're safe here," he said. "Both of you." Sora swallowed hard. No one had ever said those words to them before. What will you do with us?" she whispered. Evan took a deep breath. "I don't know how long you need help," he said honestly. "But until you have somewhere safe to go, you stay with me." Sora stared at him. Her voice cracked. "You will take care of us?" Evan nodded, yes. At that moment, something deep inside Sora broke, the heavy wall she built to survive. She didn't cry loudly. She didn't collapse. She simply lowered her forehead to her sister's head and whispered, "Lyra." "We finally found someone." Evan pretended he didn't hear. But inside, something warm moved in his chest. He hadn't planned to adopt anyone. He lived alone for years. He liked his quiet life, but now there were 2 alien twins in his home. And he knew he wasn't letting them go. Not now. Not ever. Their lives were now tied together, and he had no idea that the children he just promised to protect were royal heirs of an empire that would soon come looking for them. Morning sunlight slowly filled Evan's wooden house, warming the rooms that had felt so cold the night before. The smell of breakfast drifted through the air, soft bread, boiled grains, and warm tea. For years, Evan had eaten alone, but today, 2 small alien twins sat at the table, watching the food with wide, careful eyes. Sora sat straight, alert, like a tiny guard. Lyra leaned against her sister, still weak but smiling a little whenever she caught Evan looking at her. The quiet felt different now. Not empty, not lonely, just soft. Evan placed bowls in front of them. "Eat slowly," he said. "Your stomachs need time." Sora nodded but waited for Lyra to take the first bite. Only when her sister tasted the food did Sora finally begin eating. She ate neatly, almost too neatly, like someone who had been punished for making noise. Evan sat across from them. He tried not to stare, but he noticed something strange again. Sora's eyes changed color slightly when she was scared. The silver in her eyes flickered like moonlight. "Do your eyes always do that?" Evan asked gently. Sora's spoon froze mid-air. Lyra's small hand tightened around Sora's sleeve. "We don't mean to," Sora whispered. "It just happens." Evan didn't push. He simply nodded. But he couldn't ignore it. The children were not normal aliens. They had something special, something powerful hidden beneath their fear. Later that day, Evan went outside to repair the water pump. The forest looked quiet in the daylight, but he still felt uneasy. He kept replaying last night's events. In his mind, the roar, the glowing mark on Lyra's neck, the tracking device in the mud, whatever hunted them. It wasn't done yet. Inside the house, he heard a sudden crash. Evan ran inside, worried. What he found made him freeze. A wooden cup was floating in the air. Floating. Lyra sat on the couch. Eyes half closed, hand raised slightly, the cup hovered above the floor, shaking gently like it was caught between 2 invisible forces. Sora stood beside her, tense, trying to pull Lyra's hand down. "No, Lyra, stop. You'll hurt yourself." But the cup drifted higher. Evan stepped forward. The moment Lyra saw him, she gasped softly. The cup dropped to the ground and rolled under the table. Lyra grabbed her head in pain and leaned against Sora, who wrapped her arms around her quickly. "I told you," Sora whispered urgently. "Don't use your powers when you're weak." Evan knelt beside them. Powers, the word echoed in his mind. "Are you too psychic?" he asked carefully. Sora hesitated. Her hands shook, and she looked like she was deciding whether to run or trust him. Finally, she spoke in a small, broken voice. Lyra can move things with her mind when she's scared. I can sense danger before it happens, but we don't know how to control it. Evan sat back slowly. It made sense now. The glowing mark, the strange fear, the hunter in the forest. Someone wanted these children very badly. Someone dangerous. Why didn't you tell me this earlier? He asked softly. Sora lowered her head. People hurt us when they learn what we can do, she whispered. Some people tried to take us away. Others tried to break us. The last words came out so quietly, Evan felt his chest tighten. No. One will break you here, he said firmly. Lyra looked at him, her eyes weak but full of trust. She reached her small hand out and touched Evan's sleeve again, the same way she had done earlier. As if checking if he was real, Evan placed his hand gently over hers. You're safe, he said. I promise. Sora looked confused. Why? You don't even know us. Evan smiled sadly. You needed help. That's enough for me. Sora stared at him for a long time. Then something unexpected happened. Lyra moved closer, climbing weakly onto Evan's lap. She leaned her head against his chest. Evan froze. He wasn't used to affection. He didn't know how to handle small children leaning on him like that. Sora watched carefully. But when she saw Lyra relax, she let out a breath she had been holding for hours. Her shoulders loosened. Her eyes softened just a little. She likes you, Sora whispered. Evan gently rested his hand on Lyra's back. And what about you, Sora? Do you trust me yet? Sora's face tightened. Trust wasn't easy for her. She had lived too long in fear, too long hiding from danger. But after a moment, she nodded once. Maybe, she whispered. It wasn't a full yes, but it was a beginning. That afternoon, Evan tried to teach them simple safety rules. If you hear something outside at night, don't open the door. If I'm not here, stay together. And if your powers act up again, tell me. Sora frowned. You're not scared? Evan chuckled softly. I've seen stranger things in the galaxy. Lyra giggled weakly. Then Sora whispered something that stopped him cold. We didn't choose these powers. But they're the reason. Our parents died. Evan stared at her. The truth was close. Something dark. Something royal. Something hunted. And he knew their story was only beginning. For the next few days, Evan kept the twins close. He fixed the roof, gathered supplies, checked the forest often, and always kept the door locked at night. But no matter how calm the days seemed, a silent fear still lived in the house, especially inside Sora's eyes. Lyra grew a little stronger. She smiled more. She followed Evan around the house like a small shadow. But Sora, she watched everything, every noise, every shadow, every movement outside the window. She barely slept. She barely relaxed. She was waiting for something. Or someone, and Evan knew the moment was coming. One evening, while the sun set in a soft orange glow, surrounded by quiet forest air, Evan sat with the girls near the fireplace. Lyra drew shapes in the air with her finger. Tiny lights followed the path of her finger, like soft glowing dust. It made her happy. Sora did not draw anything. She sat stiff, hands clenched tightly, as if she was fighting something inside. Evan watched them quietly. You two must have come from far away, he said gently. No normal children wander a dangerous forest in the middle of a storm. Sora's eyes lowered, but she didn't answer. You don't have to tell me everything. He continued. But I can't help you if I don't understand what you're running from. Lyra stopped drawing light trails. She looked at Sora with worried eyes. She was tired of hiding too. Sora took a long trembling breath. We're not always poor, she whispered. Evan didn't speak. He let her continue in her own time. Our parents were leaders, she said quietly. Not just of a village, not of one world, but of an empire. Evan's eyes widened slightly. The Zorathian Empire. Sora said, "Our family ruled it for 300 years. Lyra pressed her face into Sora's arm, as if remembering something painful. Sora wrapped an arm protectively around her sister and continued, "We were born during a time of war. Many planets wanted freedom. Some wanted power. The council, the people closest to my parents, they betrayed them." The air felt colder now. "They attacked during the royal ceremony," Sora whispered. "They killed the guards. They broke into our chambers. They wanted us, me and Lyra, because we carry the royal mark." Evan's heart skipped. He remembered the symbol glowing on Lyra's neck. "The mark is placed only on the true heirs," Sora said. "The one with the mark can claim the throne, and the council didn't want a throne shared. They wanted control. They wanted the empire for themselves." Her voice shook with anger and old fear. "Our parents hid us. They told us to stay quiet. Then, the walls exploded. Soldiers came in. Everything burned. My father carried Lyra. My mother carried me. They ran through secret passages." Evan felt his breath tighten. These 2 children had survived the massacre. "We escaped to a ship," Sora said. "But only after our parents stayed behind to stop the council's soldiers." Lyra let out a tiny sob, remembering something she had tried to forget. Evan gently placed a hand on her back. She clung to him tightly. "We didn't see what happened," Sora whispered, crying silently. "But we know they didn't survive." The fire crackled softly. Evan sat very still, absorbing the truth. Sora wiped her tears roughly with the back of her hand, as if refusing to show weakness. "Since that day, the hunters were sent after us. The council didn't want anyone to discover the truth. They wanted us dead." Evan's stomach twisted. "And the creature in the forest?" he asked. "Not a creature," Sora said. "A royal tracker beast. They use them to smell royal blood. They won't stop until they find us." Evan felt cold inside. Twins weren't just refugees. They weren't just orphans. They were the last living heirs of a broken empire. And that meant powerful enemies were coming. After a long silence, Sora looked at Evan with a trembling voice. "If you want us to leave, we will," she whispered. "We don't want you to die because of us." Evan nearly shouted, "No." The twins flinched. He softened his tone quickly. "I mean, you're not going anywhere." Sora blinked in shock. "But the hunters—" "I don't care," Evan said firmly. "You're just children. You deserve safety. You deserve a home. And I won't throw you outside to die." Lyra crawled onto his lap again, curling up with complete trust. "Sora." "Watch them," with tears filling her eyes. "You don't even know us," Sora whispered. Evan placed his hand on her small shoulder. "I don't need to know everything. I only need to see that you need help, and I'm not letting you run again." Sora's throat tightened. For the first time, she let herself lean against him, not completely, but enough to show she was breaking the walls she had built. You're strange for a human," she whispered. Evan chuckled softly. "And you two are strange for princesses." Both twins froze. "You know now," Sora said in a tiny voice. Evan nodded. "Yes, you're royal." He looked at them with deep sadness. "But here, you're just kids who need a home." Lyra held his hand. Sora wiped her tears. And for the first time since their escape, the twins felt a small spark of hope. But none of them knew that the same night, miles away, the royal hunter beasts lifted their heads and began moving toward Evan's home. The sun slipped behind the dark trees and left the world painted in heavy shadows. Evan checked the windows twice, then a third time. He made sure the door was locked, the lights were dim, and the twins stayed close. Sora sat on the sofa, knees pulled to her chest, eyes fixed on the door, as if she could feel something approaching. Lyra leaned against Evan's arm, her eyes glowing. Faintly whenever fear touched her heart. "Are they still coming?" Evan asked softly. Sora didn't answer with words. Instead, she nodded once, a small nod, but heavy like a warning bell. Evan swallowed hard. If the hunters reached his home, he knew one thing clearly. He would have to fight, not for himself, but for the two tiny royal lives sitting beside him. Hours passed. The night wind howled outside, shaking the windows, making the trees groan. But Evan stayed awake. He didn't blink. He didn't rest. He kept the old rifle beside him, though he knew it wasn't enough against alien hunters. Suddenly, Lyra's eyes widened. "Papa." "The ground," she whispered. Evan froze. "Papa," he repeated softly, but before he could think about the word, the floor vibrated, just a little, like something huge had stepped onto the land. Then another vibration, and another. Sora grabbed Lyra's hand tightly. "They're here." Outside, something big moved between the trees. Branches snapped. Heavy steps shook the earth. And then loud mechanical clicking sounded outside the house, the same sound Evan heard once in spaceports where military drones landed. Evan peeked through the window. 3 tall figures stood outside, armored, masked, with glowing red eyes behind their helmets. And with them, a royal tracker beast, the same huge creature whose roar had chilled Evan's blood nights ago. The beast sniffed the air violently, pulling the hunters toward the house. Evan felt his breathing stop. "They found you," he whispered. Sora nodded. Weakly, "They always find us." Lyra pressed against Evan, shaking. "What do they want to do with you?" Evan asked. "Kill us," Sora said plainly. "And the royal bloodline. Then they rule forever." Evan's jaw tightened. "Not while I'm alive," he thought. A heavy pounding hit the door. Boom! The walls shook. "Open!" A metallic voice roared from outside. "Surrender the heirs." Evan stepped in front of the twins protectively. "Stay behind me." Sora grabbed his shirt. "Please don't fight them. They're trained soldiers. They won't show mercy." Evan looked down at her with calm determination. "I don't need mercy. I just need courage." He grabbed the rifle and stepped toward the door. Boom! Boom! The pounding grew louder. One more hit and the door would break. Evan took a deep breath and whispered to the twins, "Go to the bunker, now. Now!" Sora dragged Lyra toward the hidden floor panel Evan had shown them days earlier. They slipped inside the underground bunker, shaking, crying, but obedient. Evan pulled the trapdoor shut just as the front door broke inward. Wood splintered, wind rushed in, and 3 tall hunters stepped into the house with their glowing red visors scanning everything. The tracker beast growled loudly, its huge body blocking the doorway. It sniffed the air, then turned its head toward the bunker panel. Evan fired. The gunshot thundered through the room, hitting the beast in the shoulder. It roared, angry more than injured. The hunters raised their shock weapons, glowing blue. Evan ducked behind the table as electric bolts struck the walls, burning holes straight through the wood. "You are protecting royal traitors," one hunter shouted. "Stand aside." Evan fired again. Not to kill, he knew he couldn't, but to distract them. Then something strange happened. The ground trembled. On purpose. Down in the bunker, Lyra's hands glowed. Tears streamed down her face, but she focused with all her strength. Her small fingers shook, but the energy in her palms vibrated the entire house. "Sora, help me," she whispered. Sora placed her hands on Lyra's shoulders. "You can do it, Lyra." The floor vibrated again, stronger this time. The hunters staggered. "What?" The table shot forward as if pushed by invisible force and slammed into 2 hunters, knocking them backward. Evan blinked. He knew what was happening. The twins were fighting with him, The tracker beast roared and lunged toward Evan. Before it could reach him, Sora screamed from below. Her eyes glowed bright silver. She sensed danger and pushed her powers into Lyra. Lyra released a burst of psychic energy. The beast flew across the room, crashing into the wall. Evan took the chance. He rushed, grabbed the rifle like a steel club, and struck the injured beast's head. Once, twice, until it lay still. The two hunters recovered and raised their weapons again, but a shockwave pulsed through the room. The twins' combined power. The hunters were thrown to the floor as if grabbed by giant, invisible hands. Their helmets cracked. Their visors shattered. Their bodies hit the walls hard enough to dent metal. Evan stood panting, staring at the destruction. Silence. Then the trapdoor slowly opened, and the twins climbed out. Sora ran straight into Evan's arms. Lyra followed, clinging to his leg. "You saved us," Lyra whispered. Evan looked at them in shock. "No," he said softly. "You saved me." The house was damaged. The hunters defeated. But this was only the first wave. Others would come. Bigger, stronger, more dangerous. And Evan now knew something he hadn't understood before. He wasn't just protecting two alien children. He was standing between royal heirs and an entire empire of enemies. And he would do it again. The house was broken. Smoke drifted from burnt walls. The floor was scattered with splintered wood, fallen shelves, and the bodies of the defeated hunters. The tracker beast lay still, its huge chest no longer rising. Evan stood in the center of the chaos, breathing hard, the old rifle hanging loosely in his hand. His arm shook not from fear, but from the force of the fight. He looked around, trying to understand how he was still alive. Then he looked at the two small figures beside him, Sora and Lyra, two little girls with glowing eyes. Two royal heirs. Two children who had just helped him defeat trained killers. Lyra clung to his leg, exhausted. Sora held onto his shirt tightly, her small body trembling with leftover fear and something deeper guilt. "You're hurt," Sora whispered, touching a bleeding cut on Evan's arm. "It's nothing," Evan said gently, brushing her hand away. "You two okay?" Sora nodded, but slowly. Lyra looked pale, drained, almost ready to collapse. "Your powers," Evan said softly. They take a lot of energy from you, don't they?" Lyra nodded weakly. "When I use too much, it feels like falling down inside my mind." Sora hugged her sister protectively. "She needs rest. She needs warmth. And we need to leave now." Evan shook his head. "No," he said firmly. "You're not going anywhere." Sora's eyes widened. "But more hunters will come. Stronger ones. They will tear this house apart. They will kill you. And they won't stop until we are dead." Evan placed a hand on her shoulder. "I don't leave family behind." Sora froze. "Family?" she whispered, as if the word were foreign. "Family." Evan repeated. "You two are mine now." Lyra blinked. Her small fingers gripped his hand tightly. Sora's eyes filled with tears she tried to hide. But something else happened too. Something powerful. A faint light glowed at the base of Sora's neck. A matching glow appeared on Lyra's skin, and then a tiny spark of golden light touched Evan's wrist. The twins gasped. Sora stepped back in shock. Lyra stared wide-eyed. What was that?" Evan asked. Sora covered her mouth. Her voice shook. "You marked yourself," she whispered. "Marked?" Evan repeated. "It's the royal bond," Sora said, trembling. "It only appears when someone chooses to protect the heirs with their life, only when their heart is true." Evan looked confused. "But I didn't do anything. I only know," Sora said quickly. "Not do, feel." She pointed to the faint golden line glowing on Evan's wrist. "That mark means you're our guardian. By royal right." Evan stared at the glowing symbol. Guardian. He had never wanted power. He had never wanted titles. He just wanted the children safe. What does this bond do? He asked. Lyra stepped closer, voice soft and shaky. It means no one in the Empire can question your right to protect us. No soldier can touch us without breaking the ancient law. And no hunter can hurt you without facing punishment from the loyal forces. Sora added, it also means we trust you, fully. The glow grew brighter for a moment, then slowly faded into Evan's skin, leaving behind a faint golden mark, shaped like half a sun. Evan touched it gently. So I'm officially your guardian now? He said softly. Ara nodded. Lyra whispered, our father told us about the ancient bond. He said it appears only once in a lifetime. Only with someone who has a brave heart. Evan swallowed hard. The weight of his promise felt heavier, now not in a painful way, but in a way that made him stand taller. Sora looked around the broken room. We have to leave. The council won't stop. They will send entire squads next time. Evan nodded. Then we'll be ready, but where will we go? Lyra asked. Evan thought for a moment, then smiled. I know an old friend, former soldier. Lives in a hidden valley 2 days from here. He owes me a few favors. Sora blinked. A soldier? A human soldier? Yeah, and a good one, Evan replied. He'll help us get far away from here. Sora exhaled slowly. For the first time, hope touched her face. But then her expression changed. Her pupils widened. Her breath stopped. Something's coming, she whispered. Lyra grabbed Evan's hand. What do you sense? He asked. Sora closed her eyes. It's far, but big. A ship. A royal ship. But not the council's. The symbol is different. Lyra's eyes brightened. Maybe they are here for us. Sora swallowed. Or maybe it's another trap. Evan placed one hand on each of their shoulders. Whatever is coming, he said, I'm not leaving you. The twins leaned into him. And under the moonlight, the golden guardian mark on Evan's wrist glowed again, stronger this time, as if preparing for something much bigger. The heirs had found their protector. The protector had found his purpose. And far above the forest, a massive starship lowered through the clouds. Someone powerful was coming, not as an enemy, but as the beginning of a choice that would change the fate of an entire empire. The night sky glowed silver as the massive starship lowered through the clouds. It moved slowly, silently, like a giant creature watching the world below. Its lights reflected across the forest, turning the trees into long shadows stretching toward Evan's broken house. Inside, Evan stood beside the twins, one hand on Sora's trembling shoulder, the other holding Lyra close. The wind from the descending ship made the windows shiver. Is it the council? Lyra whispered. Sora closed her eyes, sensing energy the way she always could. After a long, heavy moment, she whispered, No, not enemies. This feels familiar. Evan didn't relax yet. Stay behind me. The ground vibrated as the starship landed on the open field near the forest. A long ramp extended, touching the soil gently. Bright light poured from the entrance, and dark silhouettes appeared inside the glow. Not soldiers, not hunters. Something else. A tall figure stepped forward, wearing white ceremonial armor. The helmet opened, showing the face of an older alien. Woman with silver hair and deep blue eyes. Her expression froze when she saw the twins. Then, she dropped to her knees. The soldiers behind her, hundreds of them, immediately followed, kneeling in perfect formation. Their armor shined with the crest of the ancient Zerathian royal family. Sora gasped. Lyra clung to Evan's leg tighter. Evan's breath caught. The woman spoke loudly, her voice shaking. Your Majesty, Your Highnesses, we finally found you. Sora's lips parted in shock. You're loyalists, she whispered. The woman nodded, tears falling. We searched every system, every abandoned station, every refugee path. The galaxy believed you were dead, but we never gave up. Sora stepped forward, unsure, scared, hopeful. Who are you? The woman lowered her head deeply. I am General Thalara, she said, your parents' most loyal protector. I served them from the day they took the throne. Until the day traitors took our home. Lyra's small voice trembled. You knew Mama and Papa? General Thalara closed her eyes, and a tear dropped to the ground. They saved my life many times. When the council betrayed them, I was fighting in the outer colonies. When I returned, it was too late. Sora's eyes filled with tears. And, US? She whispered. Why did you search for us? General Thalara lifted her face, her expression full of fierce loyalty. Because you are the last hope of our empire. You carry the true royal blood. You carry the future. She looked at Evan, and because your guardian Mark called out to us. Evan stiffened. My, what? General Thalara rose slowly and bowed her head to him. Guardian of the heirs, she said respectfully. The ancient bond you formed is real, sacred, unbreakable. Only a heart with pure courage can unlock it. Evan felt his throat tighten. He was no king, no warrior. Just a human farmer who didn't want 2 children to die. But the soldiers looked at him as if he were something far greater. Sora walked to Evan and took his hand. He protected us, she told the army. He fed us, he fought for us. He gave us a home when we had nothing. Lyra stepped in front of Evan, her small arms spread out proudly. He is our family. A shock of warm energy spread from the twins' bodies. The golden guardian mark on Evan's wrist glowed. Brightly, so bright the soldiers lowered their heads again. General Thalara placed her hand on her chest. Then we bow to him. In one synchronized motion, hundreds of royal soldiers bowed. Their heads to Evan, a simple Earthling man. A man who refused to abandon 2 children. A man who never asked for power but earned the greatest honor of all. Sora turned to Evan, her voice soft and emotional. Will you come with us? To the palace? To the empire? Evan looked at the twins' 2 little girls who had slept on his sofa, eaten his food, trusted his arms, cried into his shirt. Only if you want me to, he said gently. Lyra grabbed his hand with both of hers. We choose you, she whispered. Forever. And I choose you, Evan replied. Sora reached up and hugged him, tears flowing quietly into his shirt. Lyra joined, and Evan wrapped his arms around them, holding them as tightly as a father would. General Thalara watched the scene with pride. Then let us take you home, she said softly. The soldiers rose, forming a protective circle around their small royal family. The lights of the starship brightened, guiding them forward. Evan walked between Sora and Lyra, holding their hands, one small step for a farmer, one giant step for an empire. The ramp lifted. The engines roared. The starship rose toward the sky. And in that moment, something incredible happened. The twins' royal marks glowed brightly, connecting with Evan's guardian mark, forming one single radiant symbol, a new beginning, a new dynasty, a new future shaped not by fear, but by love. The galaxy had lost its heirs once, but now, with a human guardian at their side, the royal family was finally home.